Hey, what's up guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at a game called TERA Online, developed by Bluehole Studios and published by Mass Entertainment. I already have 3 characters set up, but I want to go ahead and create a new character for the purpose of this review. Okay, here we are at Character Select, and this game has probably one of the flashiest character creation systems I've ever seen in an MMORPG. Right off the bat, we see that we can pick from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different races. And if I say I want to pick, and you can just see how the background sort of changes whenever you highlight a different race, so you can kind of get a good sense of what all these races are about just by clicking on them and reading about them and seeing just kind of the background. Each background, if I'm not mistaken, represents their capital city. So we're gonna go, I think for this review we'll go with this guy here. Not that I'm being very picky, but there's a number of classes that you can pick from again on this list here, and down at the bottom it even shows you like players. It says player skill required, and it ranks the classes in terms of player skill. So if you want to play a class that's fairly simple and easy to play, well then you can select that one by looking at the required level of player skill. And I like this because a lot of games you'll play that you want to play a class because you think he looks cool or you like his armor or some ability, but then you get to the max level and then you realize that wow, this class is a lot more complicated than this other class, and it's just not really worth my time. So now that I've selected my class and my character, this is basically your character select. You can choose from a number of different preset character appearances, or you can customize your own. And it's not exactly Aeon in terms of character customization, but it's better than WoW. So I can pick different hairstyles or whatever. So I'm just going to go with actually I'm just going to click through a bunch of this stuff and just kind of change some things. Let you guys see kind of what all you can do. Alright, I'm going to name my character. Just again put in a bunch of random numbers, hit OK, and I'm going to click Finish. Hey guys, welcome back. What you're looking at here is an introductory cutscene, which I'm going to go ahead and skip. And this right here is the Isle of Dawn. It's the starting area for pretty much every race and class in TERA Online. So I'm going to go talk to this chick here and get a quest. Hit accept. And I got to report to some guy, so I'm going to go do that. The beginning in this game is pretty boring. I've actually had a few friends try this game, and they really, I'm not even sure they got past level 5. And when I told them, I said that you really have, if you really want to enjoy TERA, you have to give it a little bit more time. But again, I can understand, and I certainly do sympathize with people who feel that if you really want to enjoy a game, it has to grab you from day one. And in my opinion, TERA doesn't really do a very good job of that. As you can see, the very first few moments of the game are just me going around talking to people. And that's probably, if I had to pick one thing about current MMOs that I really hate, it's that. Just walking around, talking to people, going from person to person, because I'm not reading the quest text. Who reads the quest text? I just want to get into some combat to show you guys what the combat system is like. And if I'm not mistaken, I should be able to do so in the next couple of quests. Right. Okay, so I got a quest to kill 4 of these little tree things. And what's nifty about this game is you can actually see they have all your quest mobs are going to have these little exclamation points over their heads, so you'll know that's what you need to kill. And interestingly about this game, which you may or may not know, is the game has a real-time combat system. So you actually have to manually aim your attacks. And for a melee character, this doesn't really change much, but for a ranged character it does. And you also have control of a dodge ability, which I will illustrate to you as I attack this mob. Now keep in mind, there is no auto attack in TERA. I'm actually every time I attack, I am clicking my left mouse key, and every time I'm dodging, I'm actually clicking my right mouse key. Combat is very easy, actually a little too easy. you might say, in the earlier stages of the game. But I think it works in a way because it actually introduces you to the playstyle, which is somewhat different than the traditional MMORPG combat system. So you can kind of, if you watch enough of these mobs, you can kind of get an idea of what they do and when you need and what you need to watch out for and how you need to dodge. And once you do that, killing these monsters is actually a very simple affair. And I've killed 2 of these guys so far. And while I'm finishing this quest up, I just want to talk about the graphics. TERA Online is one of the most impressive looking MMORPGs out there right now. The character models, as I zoom in, are just absolutely amazing. And while the textures, especially ground textures, and when you get up close and you look at everything in TERA, it may not exactly look all that great. But just in terms of the art style and the amount of lighting effects, TERA is definitely a very beautiful game. If you like graphics, if you like impressive graphics, TERA is definitely something I would recommend you take a look at. I played TERA when it first launched. I played it, I think my highest level character, if I'm not mistaken, was about level 35. I played a sorcerer, a human sorcerer, and it was fun, but the problem with TERA is that it's very basic. In-Mass Entertainment actually put in a lot of new quests that don't exist in the Korean version of TERA to try and westernize the game and make it appeal more to Western audiences. And while I certainly appreciate the inclusion of additional quests, I find the whole thing rather pointless as long as these quests aren't really that fun or that innovative. And in TERA, the majority of your quests will just revolve around you killing monsters over and over and over again. And for a pay-to-play MMO, a pay-to-play MMO which will compete again with World of Warcraft, that will compete with Rift, and will compete with Star Wars The Old Republic, even though The Old Republic is scheduled to go semi-free-to-play. I'm not sure if this type of questing is something I really want out of my MMORPGs. Again, that doesn't mean that it's a bad game, and it means it's going to appeal. But this game is definitely going to appeal to some people. I mean, if Lineage 2 certainly had a dedicated fan base for a number of years in North America, and I really think that's who this game is going to appeal to the most. Fans of Lineage 2, fans of Aeon, North American fans who actually like Korean MMORPGs. And of course, that's not to say I don't like Korean MMORPGs. I do, but I do think that they all share a lot of negatives that Western MMORPGs really don't have. And the biggest one in terms of TERA is just this monotonous, grindy quest design. See, and you see right now I'm only having to kill 5 of one thing, 3 of one thing, 4 of one thing. But once I get a higher level, I'm actually going to have to start killing 10 mobs, or 20 mobs, 15 mobs, 30 mobs. And it becomes extremely boring. But the one thing I do like about TERA is its incredibly fast pace. I can't think I've really played an MMORPG where I leveled at such a brisk pace. And in the beta weekends, you could almost hit level 30 in about 2 or 3 days of completely uninterrupted playtime. And and my favorite part about the game, again, was just going around, was just sort of adventuring and seeing what kind of really cool looking area I would end up questing in next. And that to me is the appeal of TERA. Again, it's the graphics. For some people it's going to be the combat system. I like the combat system. It's a lot of fun, but I don't think the combat system is really going to hook people for a very long period of time. Of course, you could say the same thing about the exploration. The exploration portion of TERA simply didn't hook me for a very long period of time. But, again, I just thought that because TERA has such great graphics, it was a lot of fun seeing the different imaginative environments that I would go to as I leveled up. And also, somewhat interestingly, and something that I applaud en masse for doing, they actually, at launch, this game came with a dungeon finder. And your first dungeon is, I believe, level 10 or so. It's right after you, if I'm not mistaken, it's right after you leave the Isle of Dawn is when you can queue up for your dungeon, the first dungeon in the game. And it's very, and I love the dungeon finder tool, and it's cross-server as well. And at least when I first played the game, the queue times were very long. I don't know if people just didn't even realize that they had a dungeon finder, because it's kind of hard to find. You have to hit the Alt key to bring up your mouse cursor. And you have to go over here under the mini-map, and there's this little icon directly under the mini-map that you click on. And that's the instance matching tool. So for a lot of people, especially those who don't read the patch notes, probably didn't even know the dungeon finder existed. So I'm actually tempted to log into my main character and queue for a dungeon just to see how long it would take me to find a group. The dungeons are very fun, the boss battles are unique, and again, this is a very enjoyable game. If I had to list probably my top MMOs, I would have to say they would be World of Warcraft, of course, Rift, Star Wars The Old Republic, and TERA. Those are probably some of the best MMORPGs out right now that you can play. EverQuest 2 and Lord of the Rings are also good. Sort of just depends on what you prefer between those two. So yeah, so I'm really not showing you guys anything right now. I'm really not showing you guys anything that you haven't already seen, and this is just kind of the way the game is going to play out from here for just about the rest of this whole trial island. So again, in closing, I think that TERA is a very solid game. It definitely appeals to a certain audience. It's not going to appeal to everyone, but you can definitely give it a shot. Head on over to TERA's official website and sign up for a free trial. Give the game a shot. And if you have any comments, be sure to leave a comment below. And if you like my videos, be sure to subscribe. Thanks, guys.